I remember the night she told me the window had a name. It was raining on Whitlock Hill, the kind of rain that didn't fall but crawled down the glass. Slow and deliberate, my father had gone to Marin Point for work again. Though his suitcase was half empty and his voice sounded rehearsed. I stayed behind in the glass house, counting the drops against the window like seconds waiting to break. She said she named it after herself because she was tired of mirrors. I didn't understand what that meant until I started seeing my own reflection in her silence. The house smelled of rain and metal, like something old was rusting inside us. She stood there each night, one hand on the window frame, the other holding a chipped cup of tea, waiting for a car that never came. I asked her once why she waited, and she said, because the sound of rain is honest. That was when I began to believe her honesty could drown us both. I found her once in the morning light, wiping the fog off the window as if erasing something written there overnight. Behind her, the air was gray and still. The type of quiet that belongs only to unfinished conversations. My father called that afternoon. His voice cracked through the line, saying he'd be delayed another week. She didn't reply. She only traced her finger along the window pane, following the line of the rain, and whispered, "Then I suppose we're the ones staying." That night, I opened the same window. The air was cold, salted by the sea that reached even this far inland. I thought I saw her reflection moving beside mine, though she was in another room. The lights of Whitlock City blinked below like broken promises. I heard her steps behind me and froze, feeling the weight of her silence wrap around my breath. She said softly, "You shouldn't open it at night. Some things come in." I turned, but she was already gone. In the morning, the rain stopped. The window was half open again, its latch trembling like a pulse. On the glass, a single word appeared in the condensation, my name. The teacup was still there, empty, a faint ring marking where she had stood. The silence of the house pressed against me until it hurt. I looked through the window, into the reflection of our empty lives, and realized why she'd named it after herself. It wasn't a window anymore. It was a confession made of glass. And when the next storm came, I didn't close it. I let the rain write her name again, one letter at a time, until the sound of it was all that was left. After the storm, the house felt rearranged. The air carried a faint dampness, like breath held too long. My stepmother began her mornings earlier, always before sunrise, always in silence. I'd hear the faint scrape of a chair, the soft clink of porcelain. Then the long pause before the window opened. She didn't notice I was watching her from the hallway. Sometimes she'd touch the glass with her fingertips as though checking for life beneath it. Other times she'd whisper something to her reflection, too quiet to catch. The glass house was built on routine, polished counters, folded linens. The slow rhythm of her discipline. But lately, that rhythm faltered. Once, I found the window wide open while she was still asleep. The curtains trembled as if afraid to wake her. She dreamt restlessly, her lips moving in small, unfinished words. "He's not coming back," I heard her murmur once, though I wasn't sure if she meant my father or herself. By evening, she was composed again, white blouse, hair tied neatly, eyes like a held breath. "The window must breathe," she said when I asked why it was always open now. "Otherwise, it forgets what it's seen." The way she said it made me think she wasn't talking about the window at all. When I passed by her later that night, she was standing in front of it again. A faint reflection caught in the rain-dark glass. She raised her hand, not to wave, but to test if it was still cold. Behind her, the reflection doubled, like two figures waiting to be named. The third week after my father's absence, I noticed she'd begun to change the arrangement of things. Small at first, shifting the table an inch closer to the window, setting only one cup at breakfast, placing her keys face down on the counter. Every night, she opened the window wider, as though the air itself was part of a ritual. I asked her if she was expecting someone. She smiled faintly, that fragile, unconvincing kind of smile that trembles on exit. Just the sound, she said. It reminds me of something I almost forgot. Her voice was distant, like she was speaking through a layer of rain. Sometimes I'd catch her reflection moving a second slower than her body. Once, I walked into the room and saw her standing by the open window, her hand hovering in midair, palm up as though holding invisible rain. He used to stand here, she said softly. Same way, same silence. Then she turned to me. But you already know that, don't you? I didn't answer. There were moments when she seemed to see my father's ghost in me. Or maybe she just wanted someone to listen the way he never did. That night, I dreamt of the window breathing. Its panes expanded and contracted like lungs, fogging and clearing, whispering her name back to me. When I woke, the air smelled of her perfume, bergamot and something burned. Downstairs, the window was open again, and the rain was falling straight in, pooling beneath her cup. She wasn't there. Only her reflection was, faint on the glass, as though the rain itself remembered her. By the fourth week, the house began to imitate her. The lights flickered in long, uncertain intervals, and the walls carried echoes of footsteps that didn't belong to either of us. She spoke less, though her silence had its own rhythm, measured, deliberate. Like someone rehearsing restraint. I noticed she stopped eating at the table. Instead, she'd sit by the window at dusk, tracing lines in the condensation, leaving faint initials that disappeared before I could read them. One night, I found her with my father's watch, its glass cracked, the hands stuck at 6:13. He left it behind, she said, voice almost tender. Or maybe it stopped when he did. I asked her what that meant, but she only looked through me, eyes reflecting the weak light from the window. Do you ever feel like time skips certain people? She whispered. As if it forgets them on purpose? She turned the watch over in her hand, then pressed it to the window pane, aligning the crack with a streak of rain. I stood there, unsure whether to comfort her or confess that I'd begun to see him too, in reflections, in sound, in the tremor of her breath when she said my name. Later that night, I dreamed of the window again, but this time it spoke. It said her name and mine together, then exhaled rain across the room. When I woke, the watch was gone, the latch still wet. She was standing outside in the rain, barefoot, her white blouse clinging to her like memory. I called out, but she didn't move. She only lifted her face toward the glass house behind her and said, "It's remembering us." In the last week before the silence settled for good, she stopped opening the window. The air inside the glass house turned heavy, like it had been sealed with regret. She spent her days sitting at the table nearest the rain-stained glass, fingers resting on the cracked watch I'd found placed neatly before her. I asked her if she wanted me to close it for good. She shook her head. "It doesn't matter anymore," she said. "It's already learned everything." At dusk, the light from Whitlock City stretched across the hillside, turning the glass into sheets of gold and gray. Her reflection looked almost like someone else's, calmer, older, already gone. She asked me to fetch the photograph from the hallway, the one of the three of us on the day the house was finished. When I brought it, she took a pair of scissors and cut a single shape from it, not his face. Not hers, but the space between them. The cut-out piece fluttered to the floor like something breathing its last. That's where the window fits, she murmured. Right there, between what we pretended to see. I didn't speak. The rain began again, soft at first, then urgent, tapping against the glass in uneven rhythm. She looked at me one final time and smiled faintly, the same faint, brittle smile that started all this. Then she turned toward the window, laid the watch against it, and whispered, "Let it remember me kindly." The clock stopped ticking. The rain blurred her outline until only the reflection remained, her face, her silence. Her name written in fog. When morning came, the window was clean, the cup was dry. And the reflection waiting on the other side was mine. Somewhere in the distance, the sea breathed against the glass. And that's when silence became the loudest revenge.